YouTube, how's it going? Crazy first night of the NFL draft, as expected. Maybe not as many trades in the start as we expected, but they started happening. So a lot of surprising picks. It lived up to the hype, to say the least. So I'm gonna recap it pretty much, go pick by pick quickly here, discuss my thoughts on each pick, and then I have the five biggest winners, in my opinion, at the end of this video. The five biggest winners in order. I have some honorable mentions too. The plan was, before the draft, in my head, I had the idea to do this, but give you three of the biggest winners. But there's so many winners, so much good talent dropped. Some of the guys that are still left, too. Some of the talent that's still there. Harold Landry, Josh Jackson. The list goes on. It's ridiculous. So we'll go through this. There's more winners than just the ones I named, and again, tomorrow I'll have actual grades on each pick, so maybe more in depth about each individual pick with grades. I'll also have a day two mock tomorrow as well. Maybe you are watching this and it's day two. So, but for those of you who have waited up for this, thank you. But let's get into it. The first pick, obviously Baker Mayfield. Maybe it didn't surprise a lot of people because all the rumors floating around that he was going there. It surprised me. I was surprised because I've learned so many times not to believe the draft day smoke, the day of the draft. The rumors on the day of the draft, it's always smoke, and it wasn't. So very surprising. I like the pick though. I'm a Baker Mayfield fan. If I had to choose a quarterback, it would be him. It's just surprising. Could they have got him at 4? That brings up another discussion, but you got to play it safe, get the guy that you want. So overall, I like the pick. He's not the best player in the draft, but it made sense. Pick 2 was Saquon Barkley. Another one, gut feeling was I thought they're going to go quarterback when they get the chance, but overall, I mean, it's a good pick. He was my number 2 player in the draft. He went number 2. Fits Shermer's offense. Shermer loves using those running backs, especially in the passing game, and he's maybe has the potential to be one of the best running backs that can catch the ball out of the backfield that we've ever seen. So makes sense. Overall, good pick. The unfair thing about when I go about the winners here, the teams at the top, maybe it's a little unfair, but this is how I view it. But the teams at the top really have a low chance of being a big winner. I'm looking for value. I'm looking for complete steals. We'll go on that more. But Saquon Barkley, Baker Mayfield, great picks, but they're not going to be in my top 5 winners. Number 3, the pick was Sam Darnold. I'm not that high on Sam Darnold, but we expected him to go 1, really, most of us. So getting at 3, I mean, overall, it's pretty good. I'm not super high on Darnold, but I'm not going to sit here and bash a bunch of picks. I'm not really going to bash this one. Again, we expected him gone earlier, so that's the bottom line. I don't want to disappoint any fans, but not a huge Darnold fan, but a little surprising. 4th pick, another surprising one to me. We've seen a few mocks that had Denzel Ward going 4, but it's very surprising. The good player, definitely a good player, but was he worth the 4th overall pick? But mainly, they really had Denzel Ward ahead of Bradley Chubb on their big board. Maybe they're going off more of need, more of a best player available guy. Don't 100% agree with it, but again, he's a good player, and they needed a corner, so it's not a bad pick. I just don't 100% agree with it. 5 was Bradley Chubb. I really thought he was going 4, and at the time, he goes 5. Too good to pass for the Broncos. Just too good to pass. Von Miller, Bradley Chubb, and they also have Shane Ray, Barrett. They got other guys there. Bringing that Super Bowl defense back, and Bradley Chubb was my number 1 player in the draft. So definitely could have been a winner, but again, we kind of expected this. I thought he'd be gone by here, but it was in the back of my mind. Everyone thought it could happen, so not tremendous value, but my number 1 player. Overall, the Broncos are a winner of the day. But on to the next pick. It's going to be the pick 6 of the Colts. They held on to it. Quenton Nelson. Pretty good if you think about it. They had pick 3. They probably wanted Nelson all along, and they knew they can get him at 6. So that's pretty impressive. They hang on to the pick here. They didn't really need more picks. It would have been nice, but good move here. Nelson, maybe the best player at his position in the draft, but definitely worth it at pick 6. Good pick for them. Pick 7, the Bills trade up and get Josh Allen. My favorite part about this is they did not give up the 22nd pick at the time here, so that was very impressive. All this talk about the Bills giving up their souls, as people were saying, trading away way too much to get up there. And they didn't give up a lot at all, really, here. And they only had to go up to 7, so it made sense. Not super high on Josh Allen. I think he's got a lot of potential, though. Started to like him more and more as this process went on. But they got their quarterback. Bottom line, they didn't trade too much, which I was worried about, and they got their quarterback. They didn't have to trade up to 4 or 5. They only had to trade up to 7, and didn't get up nearly as much as I thought they would have. Pick 8 was the next one here for the Bears. Roquan Smith. Good pick here. I had a feeling it was going to be Tremaine Edmonds or Roquan Smith. I prefer Tremaine Edmonds, but for the Bears, Roquan Smith makes a lot of sense. Pretty much can't miss spot, really. Roquan Smith with Trevathan makes a lot of sense to me. So overall, good pick for them. Roquan Smith, you got to like him. Excellent football player, very instinctive. Pick 9, the Niners take Mike McGlinchey. Another surprising one to me. I thought he would go mid to late, and then until we heard the rumors that he was moving up. So I kind of bought that he was moving up. I just didn't think he was going to go 9. Better players on the board here. I just think it's a little early. Good player. Again, I thought it was a little early. Again, we're gonna have actual grades tomorrow. Pick 10, Josh Rosen goes to 10. There was rumors that he was sliding down. I didn't think it was gonna happen, and it did. And the Cardinals didn't have to climb up anywhere near where we thought they might have to get their quarterback. So they get my number 2 quarterback in the draft, maybe the most pro-ready quarterback in the draft at 10. So they don't have to trade too much to do it. Get their quarterback of the future. Good job for the Cardinals. Do they make the cut for my top 5 winners? We'll see. A lot of these teams I'm hyping up. I basically, a lot of these teams were winners for me. But at the end, I'm giving some honorable mentions, and giving my top 5 winners. Pick 11, Minkah Fitzpatrick. Not a lot of mocks with Fitzpatrick on the Dolphins. There was a lot of mocks with him in that area, but kind of surprising to see him there. But it makes sense. Good football player, very smooth, good technique. Can play safety, can play corner, can play slot. So overall, good pick for the Dolphins. Pick 12 is going to be Vita Vea. A little surprising, but I think good. You look at their D-line now, is very impressive. The worst D-line, worst pass rush in football last season by far. They're really turning around. Vita Vea with Gerald McCoy is just something else. So I think they wanted him all along, and they moved back to 12 while gaining picks. Pretty good. I mean, we expected maybe another player here, but it's still pretty good haul and pretty good job there, because I think they wanted him all along. I've heard that there was a team that viewed him as the number 1 player in the draft that was like around combine time. So was it the Buccaneers? That's something interesting to think about there. On to 13, the Redskins take Daron Payne. I do like Daron Payne, but it was a little early. But the Redskins are pretty much desperate to stop the run, and I think they wanted Vita Vea. I think that was pretty clear. So they had to take Daron Payne. Did they try to trade down? I thought that at first, but because of the next pick, I don't think they did, because I think the Saints, they had to talk with the Saints because they traded way up. I don't know about this one. I really thought it was going to be Lamar Jackson. They trade up. Very shocking. They take Marcus Davenport. I know pass rush is so important. Maybe a few picks too early for Davenport, but the fact that they gave up a future first kind of gets to me a little bit. But they wanted to upgrade the pass rush. I mean, that's the key to win the NFC, win the Super Bowl, contend again. So, I mean, he'll be a good player, but a little questionable trading up that much and giving up a future first rounder. We'll see how it pans out. 15, Colton Miller of the Raiders. I'm kind of confused about this one. I'm not high on Colton Miller at all. I mentioned him in my maybe surprise first round video, first rounders. I mentioned in that video that maybe he wasn't a surprise to some of you guys, but he would be to me. And that was talking about late first. They take him at 15. He's very athletic, but there's times where he got Rosen killed. He needs some work, bottom line, but he's very athletic. If you get the right coaching, you work with them, combine their coaching with the athleticism, that could be pretty good. The good thing here is they did gain picks. They traded back. I heard they wanted to trade up from the second round too. I'm not sure why that didn't happen. Who were they going for? I don't know, but I'm glad they stayed put because the talent is dropping to them. Maybe they trade up once we get to tomorrow. That's a different discussion. But I don't like the Colton Miller pick. Good thing is they gain picks. 16, Tremaine Edmonds. If you watch my videos, he's one of my guys. Bottom line, one of my favorite players in the draft. I could not believe he was on the board. Every pick that was passing by, I just couldn't believe he was still on the board. Excellent linebacker, can play inside, can play outside. Only 19 years old, room to grow. Great pick, even though they traded up. It is a great pick. Again, they didn't give up. They didn't even lose a pick on trading up here. They went from 22 to 16. They gave a third but gained a fifth back. people were expecting the Bills just to trade so much. They traded twice and they didn't really give up much. They got rid of those second rounders, but they kept 22. That would made this possible. They had a plan in place before the draft started. Not a lot of people can stick to that plan because the way the draft goes, and I think they stuck to it. So that pick was impressive there. 17, Derwin James. The funny thing about this one is, if you remember, we did the fan vote mock draft. I made a video on it. Derwin James fell to the Chargers, and I kind of said, hey, that would be great, but there's no way it's happening. Well, it happened. Right when the pick happened, I thought of that. It made me laugh. So Derwin James to the Chargers, hell of a pick there. Very high on my big board. They needed another safety, and they got him. To the next one, it was the Packers. Packers traded back, then they traded back up. They wanted to get their corner. They like Jair Alexander. He's a playmaker. I like him a lot, like his attitude. They gained a first-round pick out of all this, so that is something. They gained a future first-round pick. They have tons of picks in this draft still. They did a good job here. Next pick was another surprising one, Leighton Vander Esch. I did report in a recent video, rumors video, that the Cowboys were high on Vander Esch. I was buying that, but at this point, with every receiver on the board, we thought they were going receiver. I didn't know which one was going to be. I was leaning towards DJ Moore, and they go with Vander Esch, and then leading up to the draft, I heard about the neck injury, the neck/back injury, and I figured he would drop out, maybe go to the Steelers. If not the Steelers, he would probably drop out, is what I was thinking. But so surprising. He's a good player if healthy. Maybe a little bit early, though. 20, Frank Ragnow, offensive lineman, Arkansas. I knew he was rising up boards. I sneaked him in the first round on my Twitter mock, my final mock. I just didn't think he was going to go this early. I thought the Lions would go a different direction. Harold Landry on the board. I thought they would get somebody like him. So I was a little surprised, but I do like Frank Ragnow. Once I watched his Alabama tape, very impressive. Against Alabama, too. So that the upside is he's a very impressive guy there. Next pick, 21, Billy Price. So back-to-back center/guards. I really thought the Bengals would go James Daniels. He was my number one center/guard in this draft. They go Billy Price. So they must be confident about the injury. That scares me a little bit, but I'm surprised James Daniels is still on the board too, going in the second round. So a lot of surprising stuff here. 22, the Titans trade up just a few picks, get Rashaan Evans. They needed a starting middle linebacker right now, and they got their guy. Funny how Derrick Henry and him were working out together. They wanted each other they wanted to be on each other's same team. It worked out. So that was interesting there. They got a day one starter at middle linebacker. He was higher up on my boards than 22 would be. 23, the Patriots go Isaiah Wynn. I like Isaiah Wynn a lot. One of my favorite offensive linemen in the draft, so the Patriots needed to get him there. I thought they needed more of a tackle than a guard. He did play tackle at Georgia, so it'll be interesting to see if they keep him there. So I do like Isaiah Wynn. 24, DJ Moore goes to the Panthers. They get their choice at receiver here. They get their choice. And they go DJ Moore, which I thought was the better fit there. So it makes sense. I thought maybe he'd be off the board around 16 of the Cowboys, and the Panthers get him there. So it worked out for them. 25, the Ravens go Hayden Hurst. Hayden Hurst is the best tight end in this class right now, but in my rankings, he's my number 2 because him being 25 years old when the season starts at pick number 25 kind of gets to me a little bit. It's never really worked out in the past. We've seen a few guys here and there get picked when they're up there in age. It never really works out. The guy can play the position, though, but it's just early in my opinion because of the age. I think you had a chance of getting him in the second round. Maybe they were worried about the Falcons getting him. I don't think the Falcons would have taken him. 26, the Falcons take Calvin Ridley, another shocker, but it just makes me like Calvin Ridley more. He was my number 3 receiver. I kind of knocked him just not because I didn't like him, but just because I thought people were a little high on him during this process. But just he's going to be good on the Falcons. Bottom line, they like those Alabama receivers. Apparently, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley. It's going to be a heck of a receiver for them. Maybe it'll take some time, but I do like the pick. And then maybe one of the most surprising picks in a while here. The Seahawks take Rashad Penny. I was stunned by this one. It was crazy. They needed a running back. You got Darius Geist there. You got Sony Michel there. You got Ronald Jones. I like Rashad Penny. The guy can play. The guy can return. I mean, he can play in general. Teams worry about his pass blocking, but he was one of those guys I would bring up in discussions where, like, maybe you don't need a running back in the first round because you see these past years and see the talent in this draft in the second or third round you can get a starter. He was one of those guys in that discussion. They pulled the trigger on him in the first round. I mean, he's going to be good. I think they have to start him. They picked him in 27th. They should start him. He's going to be a good player, but it's early. It's surprising. It's very early, very surprising. But the good thing here is you gain picks while doing it, so that's definitely a positive there if you look at it that way. 28, another shocker. Steelers take Terrell Edmonds, the brother of Tremaine Edmonds. What I was thinking here, they could move him to linebacker. Big safety, could play that linebacker, could play that box position, or could it start at safety? So that's the upside of him. I think he can play at a pretty high level at all those spots. I thought he would go second round, though, maybe even early third. But talented kid, little early. 29, Taven Bryan to the Jags. We were starting to hear he was going to go in this range, being a little earlier. I just didn't think it would be the Jags. Their D-line is completely stacked, so you would have to think they were very high on him for them to take him when they didn't really need defensive linemen. Maybe the guys of the future. So Taven Bryan, it's going to get better learning from that Jags defensive coaching staff. That's for sure. Number 30, maybe another shocker. Vikings take Mike Hughes, the corner from Central Florida. Everyone expecting offensive lineman. I did mock them a defensive back, a corner a couple times because I thought they would need a Terrence Newman replacement, and people let me have it for that. But I was starting to lean towards offensive line recently too, or a trade back. So obviously they were very high on Hughes because I know they got calls to trade back. Heard about it before the draft. They were already getting calls, and then during, towards the end, the Raiders were trying to come up in this spot. So they must have been very high on Mike Hughes. You know, Zimmer had to be calling for him all the way. So it's one of those situations where I trust Zimmer's judgment. He's the corner guru. So and they needed a kick returner too. So they lost Cordero Patterson. Sherrills returns the punts, but Hughes will be their kick returner, and he'll definitely get some action at corner. And that's they got Rhodes, Waynes, Hughes, and Mackenzie Alexander. That's something there. 31, Patriots take Sony Michel. I've had him in old mocks. People let me have it for that one too. I like the fit. I like the pick. It's still kind of surprising getting this close to the draft. I didn't think they were going to do it. So overall, I like the pick. And then the last pick was Lamar Jackson of the Ravens. A couple friends of mine actually had a bet. They had a bet if he would go in the first or not. And the Ravens sneak in, trade in the 32nd pick to get Lamar Jackson, and it's pretty funny. Love the pick. I want the Lamar Jackson era to start now for the Ravens, but we got to wait a little bit. But overall, obviously, I love the pick. They moved down a few times there, gained picks out of this. They get to move up and get Lamar Jackson. So they saw the opportunity, they went and did it. On to my top 5 winners. Before I do that, honorable mentions. I'm going to give honorable mentions out here. Broncos getting my best player in the draft at number 5. The Packers gaining a first rounder for next year and still getting a pretty solid corner in Jair Alexander. The Buccaneers for moving down, gaining picks and beefing up that D-line, like that. And Patriots, they got 2 solid players. Mainly looking at Sony Michel, I really like that pick. But on to my top 5 winners. There's more winners than even the honorable mentions, but it was a good day overall. But let's just get on to it. This is the spot you guys probably been waiting for. Number 5 is going to be the Arizona Cardinals getting Josh Rosen. I didn't think he was really going to drop there, but the rumors are floating around that he could. So maybe that's why this pick isn't higher on this list. But number 5, they did a good job there getting Rosen, maybe the most pro-ready quarterback, my second quarterback. We thought they would have to trade up to that 5 area. They didn't have to, so they didn't have to give up too much. So good job from the Cardinals there, getting their future quarterback. Number 4 is going to be the Tennessee Titans, getting Rashaan Evans. They had to trade up a few spots. They didn't lose a pick. They just ended up swapping. I believe it was a 4th and a 6th. So they didn't actually lose a pick. I like the fit. Rashaan Evans was number 13 on my big board. I love the fit. Starts day 1. It's what they needed. I like him in that Vrabel defense. I think I was higher on Evans than most people. So they come in at number 4. Coming in at number 3 is going to be the Ravens. I love the Lamar Jackson pick. The Ravens in that front office got a good set of balls there on this one. I hope they build this team, not right now, but in the future, around this offense, I should say, around Lamar Jackson. The reason this isn't 1 or even 2, I didn't really like the Hayden Hurst pick. I don't really hate it, but I can't say I like it. They did gain picks out of this, so good trade movement while doing it. I just really, really like this Lamar Jackson pick. This maybe would be number one in most draft classes, but you put this together with the Hayden Hurst. Hayden Hurst pick kind of brings it down a little bit. He can play at a high level pretty early on in his career, but just a 25-year-old kind of gets to me because of what I've seen in the past. Number 2 goes to the Chargers in Derwin James. Again, the fan voted mock draft. I kind of made fun of you guys because I couldn't believe he lasted that long, and they still got him. He was my number 5 player in this draft class. Number 5, the safety that can play at a high level, could be a game changer, read plays, come up, make a tackle for a stop on third down, can do it all. Chargers got a gift. That's the bottom line. They get second place on the day. And who gets first place? I mean, it's very close. 1 and 2, and even for the Lamar Jackson pick at 3, any of those can be considered 1. But my number 1 so far, and we still got a lot of draft to go through with a lot of top-tier talent left, so somebody can pass it up throughout the rest of the draft. But number 1 right now, day 1, it's going to be the Buffalo Bills. They got 2 players here. I'm not super high on Josh Allen, but they got the quarterback of the future. They didn't have to go up as far. They didn't have to give up nearly as much. They hang on to that 22nd pick, which was mind-blowing to me. And they still get their guy. I think if they would have had the first pick, I think they would have taken Allen. So even though I'm not super high on him, I started to like him a little more. A lot of upside to him. His highs are real high, so let's hope the coaching staff develops him real nice there. And then the best part about it is getting Tremaine Edmonds. They trade up again only because they held on to that 22nd pick. They didn't give up. They didn't lose a pick in trading up and getting Tremaine Edmonds. They just swapped a 3rd for a 5th, I believe it was. Didn't move up that far. And they get Tremaine Edmonds. I don't know how he was there. He's my number 4 player in this draft class. I moved him. I had him in and out in the top 4. The top 4 really separated themselves. 19 years old this kid is. He's a freak size, freak ability. No doubt in my mind this guy's going to be a hell of a player. So I think Tremaine Edmonds being my favorite pick of this draft, very close with Derwin James, Lamar Jackson, really boosted them up there. But how they handle these trades and how they had a plan going into this, and it really looked like they stuck to their plan, and the rest of the draft didn't really affect them compared to other teams possibly, which you would think the rest of the trade would really just throw them off, or maybe it did. They were thrown off that Tremaine Edmonds was sitting there. They had to go up and get him, and they didn't give up a lot doing it. So good job to the Bills. Josh Allen could struggle at first again, but I think he has a lot of upside. And the bottom line is they got their quarterback. I knew they were going to do it. I didn't know where they were going to get to. I was just very, very worried they were going to get rid of the 22nd pick along with the 12th. They're going to get rid of one of those seconds, maybe even both of them, and then mid-round picks because he kept hearing they're going to sell away everything. 6 picks was brought up at one time. So even though they did get rid of those seconds, I'm very impressed with them. Very impressed. Good day, good draft day overall for a lot of these teams. Again, overall grades for each of those picks come tomorrow along with the day 2 mock. We got the talent we have left is ridiculous. I mentioned it. Harold Landry is my number 9 player in the draft. Cortland Sutton is my number 10 player in the draft, 9 and 10. My number 1 corner was Josh Jackson, but Josh Jackson, I guess the man coverage and the press abilities really concerned people. So teams were passing on him. Teams like the Vikings picking at 30, they wanted a guy that can play more slot, a guy that can fit more of their scheme. So Mike Hughes made more sense than Josh Jackson there. So a lot of it is about fit. So that's why some of these guys fall. But there was a few picks that were surprising I didn't really understand. But thanks for watching. We'll have more for you guys throughout this draft and even after. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Goodbye.